You're listening to Sorry.
Today will be mostly sunny and pleasant, high of 80. Agree that.
You're listening.
당신은 지금 듣고 있습니다.
Вы слушаете.
Estás escuchando.
Unasikiliza
to GPSG Radio.
From the Indiana University.
El equipo de gobierno de los estudiantes graduados.
Graduate and Professional Student Government.
And welcome to episode 3 of GPSG Radio, the podcast for Indiana University's graduate and professional student government. I'm Rick Brewer. From our interviews with graduate students and administrators, the latest GPSG event and funding news, to our Bloomington foodie reviews, this podcast is an IU graduate student's guide to navigating life in Bloomington. Say hi to GPSG on Facebook and Twitter at IUBGPSG, and be sure to subscribe to our weekly newsletter by emailing iugpsg@indiana.edu. It comes out every Tuesday. While just 4 episodes old, GPSG Radio is growing faster than expected. So don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcast app and tell some friends you heard from us to continue growing our audience. Thank you for your support. Coming up in the show today, we hear from the Associate Dean of the University Graduate School, David Daleke, where you'll get an update on some of the ongoing projects in the University Graduate School and hear his appreciation for the campus-wide leadership roles graduate students have taken in the current political climate.
One of the things that I'm very proud to say is that I see many of the leaders of the issues and protests and other important gatherings that have gone on around race and free speech have been graduate students.
But first, it's Shay with the news.
Thanks, Rick. And yes, I'm Shay with your news update. And we have big news this week for GPSG. Elections are almost complete. Voting will finish Tuesday at midnight, and then the results will be released on our GPSG website starting on Wednesday. Just in time for our first assembly this year, which is going to be Friday, September 8th from 3:30 to 5 in Woodburn Hall 101. Following our first assembly and discussions of advocacy committee signups will be our social hour, the first one of the year, at Serendipity Martini Bar with catering from Falafel Middle Eastern Grill, 7 to 9 p.m. That's this Friday. Don't miss out. We have lots of great stuff happening this week with GPSG. Now back to you, Rick.
David Daleke is the Vice Provost for Graduate Education and Health Sciences and Associate Dean of Graduate Education. On top of being an administrator, Dr. Daleke is also an Associate Professor of Biochemistry and Molecular Biology in the Medical Sciences program at IU Bloomington, which is part of the Indiana University School of Medicine. And in this interview, Dean Daleke talks about how students can take advantage of all the resources available in the University Graduate School and the impact they've had on graduate students. Please enjoy this week's guest, David Daleke. Dean Daleke, welcome to GPSG Radio.
Thanks, it's a pleasure to talk to you today.
Was being a dean your dream job?
As a faculty member, I can't say that being an administrator was my goal, but as a faculty member and as one who trained graduate students in my laboratory, I became very interested in graduate education. Over the years, I became involved in faculty governance through the faculty council, and through that, I saw an opportunity to join the graduate school and to work to help graduate students. And so I think I kind of fell into the job in kind of a way just because of my interests in helping to train graduate students.
So as dean of the graduate school, and on top of your regular teaching, you have a lot of responsibilities in the graduate school. Describe your daily workload.
Well, as my position is a bit complicated, I'm Associate Dean of the University Graduate School, which means I have some responsibilities for the PhD programs in Bloomington and plus some of the master's programs, primarily those in the college. But then I also report to the Provost as Vice Provost for Graduate Education and Health Sciences. The graduate education bit includes all the rest of the programs that are non-graduate school programs in Bloomington, but the health sciences part includes all of the health sciences programs in Bloomington. And so for the past couple of years, I've started a health sciences council to be able to gather together the health sciences programs to work on areas of common interest. I also have a relatively new group of associate deans for graduate education that are working on graduate issues campus-wide. And through those groups, we do a lot of different, address a lot of different issues and initiatives that will in both of those areas, some of which you probably heard about, like the Regional Academic Health Center is a major part of what the Health Sciences Group works on.
Running a university graduate school, there are so many ongoing projects that sometimes take years. What are some of the other projects that are ongoing in the university graduate school?
So the graduate school is just as a side note, is a university-wide school. So Dean James Winbush, who's also Vice President for Diversity, Equity, and Multicultural Affairs, is the dean. And our two largest campuses, Indianapolis and Bloomington, have an associate dean on each campus that oversees the part of the graduate school on those campuses. And so I'm responsible for the programs here. My colleague Janice Bloom is responsible for the programs in Indianapolis. In Bloomington, one of the office offers a lot of different services to graduate students that are on the academic side. So we help with recruiting, we help with admissions, we help with tracking graduate students through their careers, we help with student funding. We then record degrees for the PhD and the master's, and so we see students actually out the door on that side. What we don't do a lot of are the kinds of services that some other graduate schools around the country do. And like, for example, we do provide some funding, we do provide some professional development programs, but we don't have a robust career services wing in our office. And so we're trying to build our student services offerings. And those could include, as I mentioned before, financial services such as our Grad Grant Center, which offers peer counseling for students interested in funding. We have some professional development initiatives such as the Future Faculty Teaching Fellows Program, which provides an opportunity for students to take charge of a course for a year and get that experience if they are aiming for a teaching career. We have recently joined a national network for the Center for the Integration of Research on Teaching and Learning, and that helps students who are interested in, for example, becoming STEM educators to learn how to do research in that field, and also to participate and take advantage of resources offered by other network members. We're working on other ideas for professional development opportunities, such as the 3-minute thesis competition, which we just initiated a couple of years ago. We're participating in national programs that are addressing questions that we also have about our students, such as what kinds of pathways are they taking after they finish their degrees. And so the Council of Graduate Schools, which is a national organization of graduate schools, is sponsoring a PhD Pathways project to survey current students and alumni to assess what are their career paths once they receive their degree and where have they landed. That information will be very valuable for us for helping to design our programs to address the needs of our students. And we also have a couple of other programs offered through the graduate school that I think some people have heard of, may not know that it's cited here, some probably do, such as the Mentoring Center. The Graduate Mentoring Center, led by Dr. Maria Hamilton Abagunde, has been a great resource for helping students not only in the areas of mentoring, but also in areas of health and wellness, which we think is tremendous. And we'd like to support that as much as we possibly can. We also have a growing Office of Postdoctoral Affairs here in this office, and we're hoping in the future to staff that with an individual who can address the needs of postdoctoral fellows who are here, many of whom have professional development needs that are really similar to faculty, but then also similar to graduate students too. So we think it'll be able to provide a wide variety of resources in that area.
Now, you also teach as well. So describe why you like interacting with graduate students.
I very much enjoyed my undergraduate experience. I think I enjoyed teaching undergraduates when I did have the opportunity to do that. I think what I like about graduate teaching, I teach, by the way, medical students. And medical students are, of course, professional students aimed at a very a particular career. But what's exciting about them is just the sort of the seriousness about which they take their education. They're very focused. They're very interested in learning how to become practitioners in their field. And that means that they're going to engage in the material in a little bit of a different way. So it's not as exploratory, but mostly as sort of the in-depth study. And the same is true for graduate students. I really like being able to get very far into the depth and complex material in a field with graduate students. That's why I like graduate education. But currently my teaching is biochemistry and teaching medical biochemistry to medical students, and I'm having a lot of fun.
You'd mentioned a lot of different resources within the University Graduate School. Could you maybe talk a little bit about GPSG?
The GPSG is a great partner with the graduate school. We, as you know, it's our student government for at IU Bloomington for graduate students on this campus, and we try to support them in a number of different ways. The most important thing, though, is it is the voice of graduate students, and we listen to that voice and help to promote the issues and concerns that they have raised. I think that the organization of the GPSG covers just about every area of life of a graduate student on the campus, and there are outlets in each of their different areas for students who have particular interests in. It could be in financial aid, it could be in diversity building, it could be in getting adequate representation of students and the student voice into the administration. Just a lot of different areas in which graduate students can be engaged, and we are happy to help in whatever way we can for the GPSG.
What are some of the ways that graduate students have been involved in the current political climate?
Well, in addition to the GPSG, which we have talked about, one of the things that I'm very proud to say is that I see many of the leaders of the issues and protests and other important gatherings that have gone on around race and free speech have been graduate students. And so I think that we also have to keep in mind that graduate students are not only here to learn, but they also have important leadership roles for the student community as well. So I'm very proud of the Bloomington graduate students and the types of roles they've taken on with those very important issues.
Now, I always ask people who come on GPSG Radio, Bloomington is known for its cuisine. We have so many great restaurants here, so many great things to do. But what is your favorite place to eat around here?
I'm laughing because that's an unfair question. There's so many good places to eat that I really don't have a favorite. I have to say that one of the things I really enjoy about Bloomington is the diversity of the community, represented in a lot of different ways. There's and it shows up in the food that's offered in the restaurants that are available. I think I probably have a good dozen restaurants that I frequent, and none of them many more than others. But that's really the thing I think I most enjoy about Bloomington.
Well, Dean Daleke, thank you so much for coming on GPSG Radio.
Thanks, it's been my pleasure.
David Daleke, the Vice Provost for Graduate Education and Health Sciences and Associate Dean of Graduate Education. Well, that about wraps up this episode of GPSG Radio. Don't forget to say hi to GPSG on Facebook and Twitter @IUB GPSG, and to subscribe to both this podcast and our weekly newsletter. They come out every Tuesday. GPSG Radio is produced and hosted by me, Rick Brewer, with contributions from Shay Smock and the Monroe County Public Library. This is GPSG Radio. Thanks for listening.